Seattle's Morning News. This is Dave Ross with Heather Bosch, who's in for Colleen. And Rachel Belle joins us because she's a food expert and because I have a perennial problem that occurs every summer. From time to time, we don't entertain much because, I just don't like people. But I'll have a barbecue. We'll have like a beach barbecue or a backyard barbecue. And inevitably, this has happened for years, nobody will let me cook. Usually one or the other of my guests will look at what I'm doing and say, what you have to do to get the proper grill marks is this. And eventually they'll take the paddle or whatever you call it out of my hand and take the fork and take over the barbecuing. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about barbecue etiquette and what's allowed and what's not. So first of all, when you're the host, do you just yield to whichever guest wants to cook?
Usually people don't offer to cook when they come over to my home, but I do a big Hanukkah party every year where I make tons and tons of latkes, and I call it latke prison because I feel like I'm stuck in the kitchen, flipping latkes, and I don't want to be, and I wish somebody would take, as you call it, the paddle away from me. But I want to know what you're doing to the food that people are getting so anxious that they're injecting and actually taking cooking implements from your hand.
Well, here's the thing. To be a cook, it seems to me you have to be patient.
Yes.
And when you put something on the grill, it's almost impossible to tell whether it's cooked or not. And if it takes longer than 30 seconds, I'm instantly looking for something else to do to fill the time. Because the last thing I can do, I'm just not programmed that way, is to sit and watch a piece of food cook. It's just too boring. So I'll go downstairs and fill the ice chest or something. Or, somebody wanted a soda, so I'll go down there and get that. And I'll kind of forget that there's a hamburger on the charcoal grill. And I'm old school. I use the charcoal, and not just the charcoal, but I use the mesquite wood type charcoal, which is that's great. Hardcore stuff, but very, very hot.
Yes.
So you can't screw it up. And just to show you how bad it got, one of my friends gave me this beautiful barbecue kit, which has everything. It's got the tongs, it's got the paddle. What do you call it? The spatula?
Spatula.
Okay, the spatula. Whatever. And it has the fork, the long fork with the big teeth.
Yes.
And it's a heat sensing fork. So you press the button.
Oh, it has a thermometer?
It has a thermometer on it.
Oh, that's genius.
And not just that, it talks to you by beeping. So when it hits 100, I think it's 165 degrees is what the health department says your guest's hamburger has to be at. It will beep at you. The trouble is, to get it to work, you have to hold the fork in the burger over the grill. And
you're filling the ice in the basement.
Well, yeah, but also the fork's made of plastic, and I melted my temperature sensing fork.
Wait, is silly that it'd be made of plastic.
I know, isn't that ridiculous? It's really not my fault. But, of course, people see this happening, and they say, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He melted his fork. So that's another reason for them to take over.
So you've been blamed for a product's faultiness that was gifted to you by one of these friends who's pulling the thing out of your hand.
Could I have been set up? I could have been set up.
Well, there's only a problem if you enjoy doing the grilling. So if you feel like they're taking away this thing from you that you love, but it sounds like you don't really like it anyway.
I don't really like it.
So I think you should just designate. That's the best thing to do is just say, hey, who really likes to do this? And if they do, then they get to have a job that they like. They get to feel important. And then they get to make the food that they like, which is, fulfilling a controlling element in them, which I know because I am controlling in that way. Uh-huh. So, as long as they don't feel burdened, I think you should give them the job. Don't make them take it from you. Give it to them from the beginning.